Hi, this is Brian of the 2022 Mega Bowl champion Skybusters, and you are listening to the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix with Josh and Gar.
It is Saturday, December 2nd, 2023, 8:07 a.m. We're just a wee bit behind. But hello, everybody, and welcome to the 170th edition of the Hidden Oaks Overdose Football Fix podcast. I am one of your lovely hostess, the Garlic Johnson. We are joined, as always, by your other lovely hostess, the Joshua Mitchell. Josh, say hi to the folks out there.
Shoo-wee!
It's been so long since I've heard a good shoey. We appreciate people that chat with us in our Discord, including Alan Walters, who I can see right now, just looking at the most recent chats. We appreciate people who check out the segment start times down in the description below. We appreciate at Levi Oki Illustration for all the beautiful art people can see, so go check him out on Instagram. And we appreciate how Josh is doing this morning. Josh, how are you doing so I can fully appreciate it?
Terribly. You appreciate that?
Oh, wow. No, Josh.
No, I'm during. How are you, Gar?
I'm doing okay. I saw in the Greasy Fucks that you got, looks like you got some of your gear that you were alluding to, I believe. I don't know if it was Tuesday or Friday, but you had done some shopping, and looks like some of your items have come in. Are you ready to go back to the 90s, dude?
Yeah. Yep. And see, those pants, those joggers, the fabric isn't necessarily what I expected it, but it's not bad. But that jacket is a hefty, durable thing. Like, it's not, I expected it to be one of those, like, cool summer evenings.
Super light windbreaker.
Yeah, warm spring kind of thing, early fall. But no, that thing could probably be worn
That's
not as a winter jacket.
Oh.
Yeah, it could be. Like, if you have layers, definitely it could be used as a ski jacket. Then there's a little zipper on the neck that has a hood in it, so if it gets rainy, you could pop that hood out. Yep. Nope. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that purchase. I told Nikita, I was like, I could see why they charge $100 for this regularly. I'm happy I got it for $40.
Not bad for a white guy, Josh. Look at you go.
I am a white guy, but the pants, with the paint sploosh across it, that's one of them. I should find a link to send you the ones that I really wanted, but they sold out almost immediately. But it is like a straight to the 90s kind of Zuba look, and we won't spend too much time talking about that. God, how are you doing? What are you doing?
I love listening to people talk about things they're excited about, they're passionate about. Josh, you're clearly excited about your chubby's fashion, so I could listen to that all day. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had nearly as many exciting things happen, I don't think, since our last show. All right, Josh. I'll just say yes or no. There's something cool that's brewing, and there's always a chance that you talk about it too soon and you jinx it. But there's also appreciating the ride and being hopeful and being joyful. So what do you think? Without knowing any context at all, do you think I should mention the cool thing, or do you think I should let it brew for just a little bit longer?
Go for it. Let us be excited with you.
Oh, God. Okay, well, at the risk of jinxing everything, I had what I would call a pretty promising date on Wednesday. So,
Gar,
we've already discussed our next couple days.
I'm happy I said yes. I want to go on this ride with you. Can I be the best man?
I mean, to be completely vulnerable and genuine, I've never, I've thought about who I would pick my best man plenty of times, and I'm not sure who I'd pick. So you can certainly be in the running, Josh. It's between you, Brad, Jesse, maybe another person
Ranch.
Or two. Yeah, I was literally going to say Ranch as well, because
yeah, I mean, I wasn't even joking when I said it.
No, neither was I. So, yeah, a little too early for that, of course, but. So sometimes it just feels different, like when I first moved back in the spring, I had gone on a handful of first dates, maybe like, I don't know, 4 or 5 first dates, only one second date, and they were just kind of all like meh. But this one was a little different, so we'll see.
Oh,
and she listened to our Thanksgiving special of the podcast, and she thought it was funny that we were ranking food and comparing them to football players. So.
That's good. That's good.
She appreciated your creativity. But I am done speaking about it there because I'm not going to jinx it too bad, but we will see where life takes us. All right. Josh, you ready to get into the start sit here, fam?
Yeah.
Okay,
Last week.
Whoa.
Oh,
Before we even start, Josh, I just want to say there's a lot on the line for the people. For those who don't know, Josh, oh my God, where did it? All right, well, I fucking ruined everything. Here we go. For those who don't know, Josh, I always love to do a Hunger Games bit for the playoffs here in fantasy, and they're coming. So you got to make the right start sits, otherwise you're going to be out. How did we do last week, Josh?
Last week, I'm hoping your guys' seasons aren't going like this, but last week you went 1 out of 5. Walters, you went 3 out of 5, and I led the pack with 4 out of 5. Probably the first week I ever led.
I came in last. Fuck.
Yep. And so the point differential, Gar, negative 21.75. Walters, negative 14.35. Josh, 19.05. Positive. Bringing Garlic to an overall 23 out of 55 for negative 23.75. Josh is 18 out of 55 with a negative 9.6. And the Walt is 12 out of 30 with a positive 33.9. I will say that if Mixon or if Bijan had one of his normal weeks and not an exploding week, I would have had a much higher positive number because Pacheco over Mix. You guys had Mixon. I had Pacheco. And Pacheco had 26. Bijan had 27. So I didn't net any points. And you guys only got the minus from whatever Pacheco had. So, yeah. But moving on to this week's start sits, courtesy of the non-Narfle, which would be just mine and Garlic.
Garfle?
Yeah, the Garfle. You're the Gar and I'm the full.
Bingo.
And so moving on to that, since Narfle didn't decide, it's their bye week, I think. Garlic and I just scrambled together and hopefully picked players that are actually playing this week. And we're going to start off with some quarterbacks per usual. We've got Matty Staff versus Cleve, Derek Carr versus Detroit, and Kenny Picket Fence versus Arizona. Gar, who you got?
Well, see, this one was a real one for me because as I've been blessed in fantasy to ride the Josh Allen trade in the Hidden Oaks League for this long, he's finally on his bye week. So this was what the waiver wire was before me. Matty Stafford is who I've picked up, but Derek Carr was an option. Kenny Pickett is still an option. I don't need to win these games anymore, but who doesn't like winning and getting points for and all those things? But Matty Stafford, he's kind of surprised some people this season, but he hasn't had any really boom games. In fact, he had never surpassed 20 fantasy points until just last week when they played Arizona. Arizona, of course, one of the worst teams in the NFL, but it was a division game for them, and Matty Stafford got 20 points for the first time this season. They are, unfortunately, playing Cleveland this week. Of course, Cleveland's defense is still good, but they're starting Joe Flacco at quarterback, so it's really tough to say what's going to happen. The Rams are at home, so that's a plus. Matty Stafford had 4 touchdowns last week. Can he do that again? It's hard to say. Derek Carr last week only put up basically 11 points, had no touchdowns and a pick. He was 24 for 38 for 304 yards, so that's decent, but no touchdowns is going to nuke a QB's performance. This week they're playing Detroit, like you said, which should be a high-flying affair, and it's in the Superdome, so who knows? And then Kenny Pickett, he's quarterback number 27 on the year. Not very inspiring, and that's why he's still on the waiver wire after all this time. He has not gotten 20 points all season long. They're playing Arizona, though, and that, again, is one of the worst teams in the league. So if there was a week for Kenny Pickett to have a 20-point performance, it could be this. I was going for an I don't really care play, so I took Matty Stafford against Cleveland. But if I really wanted to roll the dice, I think Derek Carr and Kenny Pickett could be good options. So for this Narfle game the Garfle game that doesn't actually matter, I'll roll with Kenny Pickett just for the spice. They're playing Arizona. I think if there's any week that maybe they open up that offense, it'll be this week. So I'll take Kenny Pickett.
See, I was leaning Kenny Pickett as well because this last week was their first game over 400 offensive yards in 3 seasons or whatever.
Yeah, because they finally got rid of that fucking abomination Canada, dude. Just like I wish we could do in real life.
Yep. No, I know. Trust me, every time I go to the North Shore, the northern border, I pull out my shovel and I start digging and try and hit water so we could just push that country away. But yeah, I'm going with Kenny Pickett. And like you said, Arizona's defense is about as intimidating as a marshmallow. And so with them having that offensive surge last week, hopefully finding a little bit of a groove in that game. Deontay Johnson may actually try to fall on a fumble this week. And so I'm going to go with the picket fence.
All right, and we move on to Walters. Walters, before you start speaking, just remember what's on the line here.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me? Playoffs?
What do you got, sir?
I'm going to go with the Kenny Pickett versus Arizona.
God,
best matchup.
You guys stink.
It's the best matchup.
Can I change to Derek Carr?
I don't care.
Yeah,
I'm changing to Derek Carr. I want to be different. I want there to be some juice on the line. All right, Josh, we'll move on here to the running back position. And also shout out to your wife. I meant to shout her out earlier, but you were in the middle of a spiel. She is currently listening live. Hello. Good morning, Nikita. Back to the running back position. We have Mr. DeAndre Swift, running back for the Philadelphia Eagles, playing versus San Francisco this week. We have Devon Achane. He is a running back for the Miami Dolphins, who are in the Hard Knocks in season right now. 2 episodes in, and it is amazing. Go back and get your HBO subscriptions to watch Mike McDaniel. They are playing at Washington. And then we have the Najee Taj Mahal Harris playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Arizona Cardinals, as we spoke about a moment ago. Josh, if you had to pick between Swift, Achane, or the Naj dog, who you taking and why?
Well, Swift going up against San Fran's defense, and Swift has kind of been pedestrian the past few weeks. Kind of wishy-washy on that. Devon Achane has that injury. He only played a couple series or a couple plays 2 weeks ago. Then he was out last week. So hopefully that extra time gave him some time to rest up. Washington's defense, they traded away their best players at the deadline. And then Naj, they're going up against Arizona's defense. We mentioned that. Naj has had a couple good weeks in a row. Him and Jaylen Warren, basically on a 50-50 split from what it seems like, but they're both
Naj
producing.
Has been better, I think, technically.
They've been doing better, or he's been doing better. But yeah, I'm going to go with Devon Achane just because he's got that boom potential. That offense is high flying. He's electric, and why not?
I feel it. I think Devon obviously has the highest ceiling. He put up almost 50 points versus Denver. 50 fantasy points, that is. That's insane in half-point PPR. So certainly it's possible. Not last week, but 2 weeks ago when he tried to come back versus Vegas, he only had 4 carries for 1 yard. And then 1 target for 1 reception and 4 yards. So a very depressing performance. He got injured again, unfortunately for him. I'm going to go with the Naj dog. I think he's going to be the most reliable. Last week he got 99 yards and a tud, 6.6 yards per carry, playing against Cincinnati, and their defense is actually decent. I know they're playing, what's his fucking name, Jake Browning or something at quarterback. I forget, but playing Arizona, I like Naj dog. I'm riding with Naj dog. Walters, Swift, Achane, or Harris?
I'm going to go DeAndre Swift.
Oh, we all got someone different. That's my favorite when we do that shit. All right. Who the fuck is Josh, are you drunk? Nikita, do you put Bailey's in his coffee? Oh my God. You're not
I don't
dyslexic.
drink coffee.
Well, I don't know. You're intoxicated, clearly. All right, Josh, who's next?
Next, we've got pass catchers in the wide receiver position.
Okay.
We've got the Judge Judy himself at Houston. Hopefully he's dancing behind Steve Smith. Dobbs versus Kansas City. Go Pack Go. And then Georgie Pickens. I think we have a trend here on players for the Steelers and Arizona game. So good for us. And so, Gar, who you got?
Well, kind of when you're putting this list together, if you would have put Sutton up here instead of Judy, I would have had a much harder time deciding because Judy has been booty this year. He's wide receiver 55. The last time he hit double-digit points was in Week 8 versus Kansas City. He put up 12, and that's his highest score of the entire fantasy season. Judy's out automatically for me. Romeo Dobbs, he's wide receiver number 35, so the bottom end of wide receiver 3 territory. He's had a better season, definitely hit and miss. He's been riding my bench all year in the fucking redraft league, and I think I've started him maybe once, and it was one of his bad weeks, and I haven't started him since. This week, though, I might have to because they're playing KC. Trent McDuffie in KC is a great cornerback. I don't believe he's one to follow one around. I believe he just stays on his side of the field, but I imagine Christian Watson will get more of his attention than not. And then George Pickens playing Arizona. If I had kept Kenny Pickett earlier, not switched to Derek Carr, maybe I'd want that stack for this Garfield destruction. But I'll go with Dubs this week. They're playing KC. We know Jordan Love's been lighting it up lately. We know they're going to have to continue to do so if they want even a snowflake's chance in hell of beating KC. So, Josh, I'll ride with Dubs, hoping that offense can do some things this week. Who do you like?
I'm going to go with Pickens. We've talked about that defense. We've talked about the offensive surge last week. So I'm going to ride with the Steelers on that. I think it would have been funny if you went with Pickett as well for the quarterbacks, because then you'd have only picked Steelers so far, and Eric's would probably just be,
dude, Eric's is dead.
He might be. Is he actually?
No, he just made a transaction in the Guillotine League not that long ago, but he has been so quiet. Who's to say? It was his game.
And so, Pickens had a big catch last week. He didn't do a whole lot. Maybe Deontay Johnson gets a little bit of a punishment for that just embarrassing effort on that one play. And obviously his attitude is apparently it's not where it needs to be. And so hopefully that just leads to more Pickens play. But yeah, that's who I'm going with.
All right, Walters, Judy, Dubs, or Pickens?
I'm going to go Dubs as well.
Oh, you just picked a Packer, Josh. You're going to wrong him?
Well, Dubs isn't even the wide receiver 2 in Green Bay.
That's Jaden Reed. Yeah, imagine trading Jaden Reed away for a second earlier this
season. No, that's Christian Watson.
Oh, Jaden Reed's number 1?
Hell yeah, brother.
I'll imagine being silly enough to trade him away for a second earlier this year. All right, Josh, we'll move on to the tight end position. I wish I had those V-Pod, nice sounders. He's got a nice ass, nice tight end, whatever it was. But that podcast is long gone in its true form. We have Mr. Friar Muth, another Steeler. A lot of Steelers in the options this week. When you play the worst defense, people are going to want to, potentially start setting in fantasy. He just got off injury, and he had a good week last week playing versus Arizona. We have the Jacksonville Jaguar, Evan Ingram, playing against the former shell of Cincinnati. And then we have the Trey McBride for the Arizona Cardinals playing at Pittsburgh. So we've got a Cardinal in here to try and counteract all the Steelers we're putting in. Josh, if you had to go with Muth, Ingram, or McBride, who are you riding with and why?
I'm going to go with Ingram on this one. Muth, I think, it's between Muth and Ingram for me. I do think that they both have the opportunity to put up double-digit fantasy points. Ingram gets a lot of targets. Muth got a lot of targets last week. But that game with Arizona, I think it might be on the ground a little bit more, just because of that Arizona defense and whatnot. But yeah, I'm going to go with Ingram in this one.
All right. Ingram, tight end 12 on the year. So just the bottom end of what should be started in most 12-man leagues. Put up 7.5 last week. Trey McBride put up 9.5 last week. 9 targets, 7 receptions. His targets have been pretty good since Murray is back. Of course, Freiermuth did have the best week last week of the 3, as you alluded to. Of course, he's tight end 30. He's been injured for 5. Injured for 5 weeks. Out for 5 weeks. 11 targets. 9 receptions, 120 yards, didn't even get a tud. I'm rocking with the Muth. There's no reason for me to not to in my mind, and I'm sticking with
the Muth is Luth.
Mm-hmm. All right, Walters, do you want Mr. Fryer, Mr. Eng, or Mr. McBee?
I'll take Mr. McBee.
Oh, okay. We've got another
He's
one.
got a lot of targets. I mean, the last 3 weeks, he's had 9, 7, 9. I mean, that's a good amount of targets, and his receptions have been up as well. 7, 5, 8. I like McBride.
All right, Danny McBride. Have either of you guys watched Righteous Gemstones on HBO?
Nope.
Negative Ghost Rider.
That
That would
amazing show.
require HBO.
Amazing show. You guys should look into it. All right, Josh. What do we got for the last position here?
For the last position, we have flex. And so it's going to be Cortland Suttonly Salad at Houston. Zach
What the fuck did you just say?
Suttonly Salad.
Okay. Move on.
Zach Moss at Tennessee. Or Pucolata versus Cleveland.
Yeah. Might be reaching a bit here at the end of the start sit segment, Josh. All right. Yeah, I mean, you got to. Do you miss 100% of the shots you don't take? Sometimes you got to throw shit at the wall and see what works. But I think all that posture just fell. All right, Josh. Cortland Sutton is wide receiver 23 on the year. He's had some booms and he's had some busts. He's coming off a softer week. He's almost always in the double digits. But last week he only put up 7.6, 6 targets for 3 receptions and 61 yards. He's got touchdowns more weeks than he's not. So I think he'll bounce back this week against Houston, especially with how that offense has been playing in Houston. They're throwing up points that'll force the Denver Broncos to throw up points. So I like Sutton this week, but let's check out the other 2 candidates first. Zach Moss. It looks like Jonathan Taylor's going to be out again. He's getting thumb surgery or something. And some of Zach Moss's performances when JT was out, he put up 18, he put up 21, he put up 9, he put up 32. So this guy was an absolute baller when he was the bell cow. Zach Moss should absolutely be considered. The only thing against Zach Moss this week is that they're playing Tennessee at home. I know Tennessee only has 4 wins this year, but all 4 of their wins are at home, and all of their losses are in away games. I believe that's true. I'm not 100%, but I believe they've played a lot of their away games early, and they've lost most of them, but Tennessee has been pretty good at home. So that's the only knock against Zach Moss, who's going into Tennessee. And then Puka Nacua, he's wide receiver 10 on the year, still being carried by his earlier in the year performance. He did put up 16 2 weeks ago against Seattle, but 3 of his last 4 games have been less than 6 fantasy points and half-point PPR. Playing Cleveland, that's a pretty good defense. I don't know if I like him this week. Between these 3, I'm looking for the ceiling. I'm looking for that huge boom performance. Feed me Zach Moss, though it was closer than people might think with Cortland Sutton in second, but I want Moss this week. Josh, who do you like?
I'm going to go with Zach Moss as well. I'm sorry I'm following you on that. Cortland Sutton, I think Houston's defense is pretty solid. That game, I think, is going to be a high-flying, but if I were to rank them, I'd go Zach Moss, Cortland Sutton, Puka.
Okay. Walters?
Yeah, it's Zach Moss. I mean, it's just a volume thing.
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, I think...
turn your volume down then.
No, dude, I want that volume up. Too bad I traded away Zach Moss to fucking Jack earlier this year. To Jack Moss. All right, that's the start set. I do not have a bonus one this week, so we'll move on here, Josh. I don't know if that's updated. Is that who the...
Nope.
Oh, okay. Well, I have mine. Mine's updated because I'm a good legalese scholar. I'm a good podcast citizen here. We move on to the FanDuel Bust of the Week, Josh, and this one does not give me any pride. This man has been in my lineup, so we've set 12 FanDuel lineups so far this year. He's been injured a couple weeks, so the ceiling is lower, but let's say Tank Dell's played 9-10 weeks this year. He's been in my lineup for 7 or 8 of those. Okay, I love Tank Dell, but he's a little banged up. I think Noah Brown's going to be back. I think they might play just a little bit soft, and that Denver defense is actually kind of low-key good. With Patrick Surtain out there. So Tank Dell at 82 hunch. I'm calling him a bust this week. I love Tank Dell again. He's the reason I'm currently in first place in the FanDuel Hood Pod play along. So I owe everything to Tank Dell. I think he's a bust this week, and so I'm just playing with caution. That's all I have to say.
Now the question is he still in your lineup?
I haven't said it yet. I always set it Sunday at like 11:30 because I just want the latest news and I want to know if any backups are playing to take advantage of their cheaper prices and things like that. But there's a chance he's still in my lineup. I'll just have to at 8,200 though. Like Tank Dell was in my lineup for so long because he was like 6,000, 6,700, 7,500. Now he's priced appropriately at 8,200. It's like the value is just less. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's my FanDuel bust of the week. Oh, Josh, you have one? You've been peeking here?
Yeah, I'm looking at what I currently have. And so here, let me just vamp a little bit and talk randomly about things that maybe don't matter. But Jonathan Taylor's 8,800 and he's not playing. He's going to, no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to go on and say that my bust of the week is Keenan Allen. He's dealing with a quadricep injury. He's going up against New England's defense, who's not necessarily the best this season because of all the injuries, but he's $9,000 on FanDuel in a game that is most likely going to be a blowout early. At least it should be, but it's the Chargers, so they may charger. And so $9,000 doesn't give me any comfies in my tum-tum for starting Keenan Allen.
Sure, I feel like obviously he's not a true bust if he doesn't play, but yeah, he's definitely not practiced twice this week. I don't remember the Friday report off the top of my head, but he's just quietly been injured this week, so I think that's definitely someone to keep an eye on if nothing else. That's a good call out.
He limited practice on Friday.
Okay, there we go. So he didn't practice twice or three times, depending on the practice schedule, and then he was limited on Friday. We'll move on here, Josh. We got just a couple mins. I know NFL this week doesn't really matter because the Vikings aren't playing. The whole NFL should just take the week off. But since everyone else is still playing for some reason,
Vikings take last week off?
Fuck you. But a couple games here I'm excited about, and then we'll give Josh a chance to maybe look at the schedule and see if there's anything he likes or any fantasy matchups he's excited about. But we've talked about a lot. That Denver-Houston game I think is actually a pretty interesting game. It's kind of a good litmus test for both teams. Houston has kind of been the tallest midget. People weren't expecting big things, and they've certainly overperformed most people's expectations for them this year. Detroit, New Orleans is good and also has playoff implications up the yin-yang. What's one more I'm excited about? How many points can Miami score on Washington? That should be pretty incredible. Philly, San Fran, a potential preview of the NFC Championship game. At least, what I think in my mind is a good chance that that's the NFC Championship game, San Fran and Philly. So good and important to take notes there. And then, of course, Josh, I'm sure you'll talk about this one. Sunday night, KC, Green Bay. I know we've been hot on Green Bay lately. I know Jordan Love and Jaden Reed and company, they've really come into their own last couple of weeks. Defense has been playing good. Offense has been hitting on most cylinders, if not all cylinders. Of course, KC, they're the current dynasty. They've got 2 bowls. They're looking to take a couple more. Josh, what are the chances Green Bay wins this game? I believe it's in Green Bay, or is it in KC? I always get it wrong on Sleeper.
It's in Green Bay.
Okay,
I do think
good.
that the chances are low. I don't know if you've seen the injury report, but it's one of those ones where you just got to keep scrolling to get to the bottom for Green Bay. They're missing a lot of people, not using that as an excuse, but there's a lot of injuries and people who are doubtful to play. And so it's kind of like the Detroit game last week. I'm going in with no expectations, and I'm going to be satisfied if they put up a fight. And so I just want to see a little bit of advancement with that offensive line. They've been playing well. They held Detroit in check. I wanted to see Jordan Love make the right decisions and not necessarily come out like and try and play hero ball, trying to force the ball into positions he can't. I want to see if Jaden Reed can continue his hot streak of touchdowns and performance. And I want Christian Watson to get involved like he did last week. So that's one of the games I'm obviously excited about coming in. It's a Sunday night game. So obviously we get I think we get the Collinsworth crew talking about Patrick Mahomes for 59 out of the 60 game minutes. The Philly San Fran game I'm looking forward to. There's not a lot of games where it's like 2 teams with winning records. I think that one, and then the Broncos Texans is the other one. And so that's kind of an interesting how it kind of shook up because those are the only 2 games with both teams having winning records.
San Fran and Philly?
And San Fran, Philly, and then Broncos, Texans.
Okay.
And so that game I think is going to be a good one to watch. And those 3 games are the ones that I'm excited for.
Okay.
And then Monday night's game should be okay with Bengals, Jaguars. Browning hasn't shown that he's awful. So.
All right, Walters, I'll give you just 30 seconds. Anything you're looking forward to? Maybe it's one of your fantasy matchups. Maybe it's a real NFL game. Anything you're excited about this week 13?
Sunday Night Football. I think it's going to be a good matchup. And we're going to watch the Kansas City Chiefs crush the hopes and dreams of Packer fans.
Hopes? What do you mean? Hope we could still lose this game and take the division.
No, in all reality, I'm just happy to be able. I got nothing going on this weekend, so it'll be great just to sit down and watch some NFL and watch Red Zone. So I'm excited for just the games this weekend.
Okie dokie. Well, we appreciate everyone so much for listening. We love you. We'd probably still be here without you, though it wouldn't be as fun for us. We love the fan interaction, but it's a good hobby for us. It keeps Josh and I spry, keeps our mind flowing. But everything's better with friends. Everything's, the true podcast is the friends we make along the way, as they say. So we appreciate everyone so much for listening. We love you. We will see you Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. sharp-ish. And we love you. Good luck. Playoffs are right around the corner. Who knows what's going to happen? But we'll see you there. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Go Packers.
Yeah, show me the money. Show me the zombies.
Go tuck yourself in.
You got it.
I gotta get in on this.
God damn. Wow. That's a low price.
No talent ass clown.
No, we are not eliminated. I am very calm.
But you're
and we are going to methodically come back and win this thing.
Big stupid doo-doo here.